recording. And it is all yours, Caitlin.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We are excited to do our first official webinar as part of the Rockford Chamber, at least in my history. So thank you for joining us. We are really excited and hoping that the information will be really relevant and helpful. So as Cohen said, we are recording the session, so we'll be able to send it out afterwards for those that want to go back and check something out. And so no need to take copious notes, just normal amounts of notes are great. So if you have a question during the session, throw it into the chat box. I'll be monitoring that, Cohen will be monitoring that, and we will jump back in when we need to, or save questions for the end, whatever is most appropriate. So with that, I am going to do a quick introduction. I'm going to read it. Cohen Barnes is our speaker today. He's the CEO of Sundog IT, a 30-year-old IT firm specializing in Microsoft and cloud technologies for organizations in Northern Illinois. Throughout his 30 years in business, Cohen has been the president of the board for 4 nonprofit organizations, from a Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Corporation to a grassroots movement and a 10K race, a little bit of everything. Cohen led an initiative and successfully passed a $110 million school referendum. He was selected by his peers to be the lead speaker to represent his community in the final 8 for the national contest, the America's Best Communities competition. Cohen is an Eagle Scout, a veteran of the U.S. Army, and an alumnus of Northern Illinois University. His greatest pride, though, is being a father of 2 and a husband for 27 years. So, how exciting. Thank you so much. I'll turn it over to you, Cohen.
Wonderful. I'm going to have to shorten that sucker. Holy cow. All right, I did see Doug was asking, just checking if there's any audio or video off for attendees. If anyone could, just put in the chat that you are able to hear and see us, if you could. Doug, I would recommend you check your speakers just to see, make sure they're turned on and they're turned up. But it would be good to get clarification from someone that you can hear us and you can see us. All right, Kristen, thank you. Fantastic. All right, I'll go ahead and kick it off. Again, my name is Cohen Barnes. I'm really looking forward to talking with you all today. I wanted to make sure that you all realize that this is, Q&A is fantastic. I'm not a professional speaker, but I am a professional educator. One of my roles is making sure I communicate topics, ideas, and technology to as many people as possible. It is my passion, so I really look forward to any questions that you have, especially on topic, but we can go a little off topic at times. I'll be brief to keep us on track. I'm hoping we can wrap this up within 45 minutes or less, allowing for Q&A time as well. So today, obviously work from home is such an incredible opportunity, an incredible source of frustration for a lot of us, and just something new that we're all trying to figure out. Now, Sundog, for years now, we are an IT company, so we supply, secure, and support all the technologies, all the Microsoft technologies and cloud technologies that are out there to the business community. So because of that, natively, we've always been set up to be able to work remote. Many of us work remote full-time, and then there's a bunch of us that are just hardcore road warriors, where we're always in the office, on the road, working at home, you name it. And the technology that we use and the tricks we use to be effective and productive during that is ultimately what we're going to share today. I'm going to focus quite a bit on the I am at home, or your staff is at home, and how do they maintain productivity, and what is that experience like? And what I'm going to share with you is the survey that I sent out to all of my staff when the COVID-19 crisis first started happening, and we realized that there was going to be a huge shift of people going from the office and moving to the home environment. And we wanted to make sure for our clients that we had a lot of tips, tricks, and strategies for them to be able to communicate to their staff so they could be effective when they went home. That knowledge that we gained from our staff and our road warriors, and then transitioning our client base over to working from home, that knowledge is what I'm going to impart to you today. And I think there's going to be a lot of good nuggets in there. We've done multiple of these webinars so far, and people usually walk away with quite a few tips and tricks that they can use themselves, but then also hopefully be able to communicate to their entire organization, again, to help make everyone's individual organization as effective as possible. All right, so we'll get right into it. Routine. Can't say enough about the importance of routine. Now we all, as soon as you work from home, especially the first time, you do the whole PJ thing, you know, you get up in the morning, roll out of bed, 5 till 8, log onto your computer, grab your cup of coffee, and you're sitting there in your PJs working from home, and how fun is that? But I think a lot of us realize that after a little bit, it gets kind of old. We don't feel like we're part of the team. We don't really feel like we're working, and productivity can suffer through that. So our staff, what they have found is maintaining that exact same routine you had when you were going to the office is really important right now. So that means get up at your normal time. You know, I'm a 5 a.m.er, so 5 a.m. my alarm goes off. I used to go to the gym in the morning, and I can't now. So now it's actually a virtual workout class, which is absolutely incredible. I can't believe how well that's been working out. But I do my gym, I shower, I get dressed. And when my staff, especially the ones that have worked remote for us for years, they get dressed for work. So they'll throw on their Sundog polo shirt, they'll do the slacks, they'll do whatever it is that they would normally have worn if they came into the office, and dress appropriately. And we even had one a gentleman who usually was in the office and now working from home a bunch. His productivity started slipping, and he realized every time I went to work, I always went by Dunkin' Donuts. I got a cup of coffee, and I would have that big, large coffee to sip on the rest of the drive. And then once I'm at work, and that's how he started his day. But since he wasn't in his car, he didn't have that routine. So he actually gets up, does his whole normal routine, gets in his car, goes to Dunkin' Donuts, gets that coffee, drives back home, sits down at his desk, and now he's ready to work. Because the key is it's that mental shift, right? When you're at home, especially those of us that have kids at home, pets at home, all that, it's really hard to make that disconnect of I'm in lounge mode after a hard day into, no, I've got an 8-hour day ahead of me and I need to be as productive as possible. So that's where that morning routine can be just absolutely phenomenal for you. And management, same thing. With us, we do a daily huddle every day at 8 a.m. All staff, that still continues. It just happens virtually now. We use Microsoft Teams for that to be able to happen, but Zoom, what we're on right now, is a very effective program as well for making that happen. But your regular daily meetings or your weekly meetings or your monthly check-ins, whatever it is that you used to do in the office, we highly encourage that you keep that same structure going forward and make sure everything happens on time. I get it that there's some additional challenges, and maybe the first few times you might start a meeting that went at 8 a.m., you might start it at 8:05, but now you go ahead and after a little bit, boy, that sucker starts at 8 a.m. Everyone needs to be under that same routine. Yeah, workspace. Hear a lot about that one too, where some people have a really cluttered workspace at home because, you know, the kids' toys are there, the dog's chew rope is there, a bunch of stuff left over from a weekend project. And we had a lot of feedback from our staff on what has made them effective and our clients, what's made them effective now is you find a workspace in your house. Now, I know that can be particularly difficult for some right now because there could be a lot of people at home. But if you can, find that place that you can just carve out as yours. This is where I go to work in the morning. And some tips on that workspace is, if you can, keep it clean and organized, just like you would at work. Unless you were a complete slob at work, then feel free. But make it the same environment that you had at work. But some of our engineers really thought having the TV in the background would be a way to drown out some of just the noise within the household. But they found the TV actually ended up being a distraction where they might get sucked into that newscast, or they might get sucked into whatever movie was playing, even though it was playing low. And what they have found is music has been really helpful from that perspective. So stay away from the TVs, turn the TVs off, but go ahead and play some music. When I'm at home, I love playing my Pandora feed station, essentially is John Williams, the conductor. So I listen to Star Wars theme songs and Raiders of the Lost Ark theme songs, mostly because there's not lyrics that I can sing along with, which is distracting, but it's just kind of soothing. It produces enough sound to be able to block out some of the activity around me, and it keeps me productive. So music is a great way to allow you to drown out some of those noises. And if you can, duplicate your work setup as close as possible. A lot of our clients, people that didn't have adequate technology at home, actually had their staff come in and bring their desktop computers and their monitors and everything else to their home environment. our engineers, especially the ones that have worked from home for years, have all the multiple monitors, the wireless keyboard mice, the ergonomic chair, all the stuff that they need that they would have in the office, they have at home now. Because, I mean, if we're going to work 8 hours a day, 7 or 5 days a week, we want to make sure that that environment matches what was very productive for us when we were in the office. And don't forget about ergonomics. You know, when you go home first and you sit at that kitchen table and it seems really fun, you got a beautiful view of the street or the backyard. But after a couple of days, that chair gets to get really old. And that table is a little bit low for what you are used to compared to at work. So don't forget about making sure that your work environment, it works for you from a posture perspective, from an overall comfort perspective. Because if you know, sitting in a hard chair gets to be aggravating physically after a while, well, it's going to be aggravating mentally too. So that's just a really good way to make sure you're comfortable, make sure you can work for 8 hours in the environment that you have at home, and you'll be as productive as possible. And then to any tools, sometimes you could think about maybe like an architect and a draft table, right? Or it could be an engineer with test equipment, testing circuit boards, whatever it might be that they had at the office. If you can, make sure that they have those same things at home. So when they break from the computer and go to engage with another component of how they used to work, go ahead and get them those tools so they can do that just like they were in the office. We can always provide a template, but there's plenty of them out there where you can keep an inventory of what has been issued to individual employees at home. Just so you as an organization can keep track, but then there's some accountability there to make sure that when we all return back to the office after this COVID-19 crisis is over, that all the materials that we provided are returned as well. So that's really easy to do. All right, so you are at home and you're working and you get into the zone. In the office, staff members used to come by, knock on your door, ask you a question. Your boss would come by, ask you a question. You had maybe this meeting or that meeting, or maybe you had to go on to a client site. We have a million ways of breaks just naturally happening when we're in an office environment. But what our staff and some of our clients struggled with when they initially went home was they found that without those distractions, boy, they would just, you know, nose to the grindstone and sometimes pop their head up and not realize it'd been 3 or 4 hours. And you get burned out. You keep doing that day in and day out, it gets really tough for you. So the strategies that they've developed over time have been, if you don't have the opportunity to get interrupted a lot, then set calendar reminder events for you to take that 15-minute break. Some of them coordinated those around maybe some household chores, like load the dishwasher, unload the dishwasher, load the laundry, switch the washer to the dryer, take the dog out, right? There's some things that you could do that when you're at home, you have to keep things moving along. But you can do that as an excuse to take a break as well, because that mental checkout from work is going to be important while you're at home as well. So make sure that, you know, we're healthy mentally, which, you know, if we can accomplish that and have those regular breaks, it's really easy then for us to be as productive as possible. I love, one of my staff called out that initially when the dogs and the kids were interrupting him, it was a source of agitation. And he did a mental check and reframed it and now embraces those. So rather than taking scheduled breaks, he knows that the dog's going to come when its head scratched. Little Johnny's going to come when his head scratched. He's embracing those moments, actually, that it's a way to engage with the family, give the kids and the dog a little attention, but it also gives him the needed break that he needed at that time. So there's ways that you can incorporate that home life into helping you be productive while you're at work. And management can't say enough about, we all have to be understanding through this time. It's stressful for people. There's all kinds of unknowns from a health perspective. There's stress at home with the whole family's there, and realize some parents with younger children are actually being required to be a teacher as well to keep educating their child since their children are at home. But there's a lot happening in people's heads. So understanding is really important. If someone shows up late to a meeting or is having other difficulties, giving people a little pass for a while till everyone settles into what this actually looks like for them, which they're doing more and more now, obviously, the longer this goes on. But then also make sure you've got accountability there. We work really hard on holding all of our people accountable. We are a high-performing organization. We want A players working for us. So we've got metrics in place, key performance indicators for everyone in our organization. And if you don't have those and you've sent people home, if you don't have a way of measuring their productivity, then start coming up with a number or two that you can look and reference and share with them, obviously, so they know that, hey, this is what my boss or my organization is looking for, and they can really drive their productivity, making sure they hit their number. So definitely recommend some KPIs in place. Communication, some people don't like being on camera, but I really would push all you leaders out there and individuals that you need to get comfortable with that. Some it's natural, no problem. Others it takes a little bit more work to make that happen. But we all know, like, if you text someone, that's one form of communication, great. But when you can't hear the tone of voice, can't see someone's face, it's problematic. Phone calls are good because you can hear the tone of voice, but you can't see the facial expressions. You can't read the body language. Video or face-to-face communications are ideal. But in a case of shelter in place, we really don't have that opportunity. So it's really cool to take advantage of the video communication that's out there in Zoom, like we're doing right now, or in Microsoft Teams, to be able to have those face-to-face conversations. So it allows those remote workers to maintain connectivity with their peers at the office, and it allows managers to be able to maintain that connection with their staff by having regular video communications. I mentioned our 8 a.m. huddle every day, 8 a.m. Everyone's on there. You see all the videos coming in, and we get to hear everyone talk. We get to see them. We get to see how they're doing. And it's just a great way to maintain that connectivity, like I said. But also there's an onus on the individuals as well as management. So individuals really try and reach out to different people in your organization. If you used to go by Sue's office and knock on her door and ask her how her night was or how her weekend was, do that same thing, but do it within the communication platform that your organization provides, like Microsoft Teams. And just check in. It goes a long way with the person you're checking into, that you cared and you did that. But it's also a nice way for you to maintain that connectivity. And then management, same thing. We've got regular touches with people. A big thing that's been going on more and more in our organization is at the end of the day, everyone's saying, see you later to each other. So in Microsoft Teams, we've got a group chat set up, and it's a way just to have those fun memes throughout the day, but then also the good mornings and the good nights all happen there, which is just a lot of fun. And if you can, and Microsoft Teams allows this with different channels you can set up, but offer people or give them the opportunity of a place where they can go and just have fun too, chatting back and forth. That just, again, it's another way of building relationships and maintaining relationships, which in the long run, everyone working from home needs to feel that they're a part of a team, needs to understand that they matter. And those channels and teams really allow for that connectivity to continue to happen. All right. Yeah, the management piece here too. So one thing that we did, I should say we do, because we've got one coming up tonight too. We do a virtual happy hour. So at 4:30, everyone's welcome to hop on in if they want. People have a beer in their hand or a Diet Coke in their hand or whatever. And it's a great way for us all just at the end of the day to chill out, reconnect with each other. But what's really been cool is some people have brought their kids on, their wife on, the dog. We've been able to see people's home world, which is really neat from a relationship building perspective with your team. So the virtual happy hour is something I would definitely recommend you try and do. And I think you're going to be amazed how well that's going to end up working for you. But then it's just other things that you can do besides using technology. We send like gift baskets to our remote workers, especially the ones that have been remote for years. So if we're going to have a company meeting and we're providing pizza at it, they may be videoed in, but we actually have pizza delivered to their house, which is cool. Or we could just one day decide, you know what, we're going to send Josh a basket of stuff. So we run around the office and everyone contributes one item. We throw it in a box and we ship it to Josh. And it's just another way to let him know that, hey, we're thinking about you. Hey, you're a valued member of the team. And we just want to say hi. So don't forget, just figure out ways to maintain engagement, whatever that might look like with those remote staff members now. And then I know like Craig here on the line, Craig does a lot of video gaming with some of the guys on the weekend. Obviously, we're a bunch of computer geeks, so that's going to be easy for us. But you'd be surprised at different activities that might be out there that your team might want to engage with. So if you know and there's some common likes that people in the office have, see if you can make those connections for everyone and introduce them to a way to be able to communicate even outside of work. Again, just to maintain those relationships. Craig, do you have anything to say on that? I've been talking a lot. I know, I got him on the spot. Craig, I still have you muted, man. We should have tested Craig's audio for it. This is the beautiful thing about technology and live presentations. You never know how it'll go. I tell you what, while he's figuring that out, Casey, I don't know if you have any comments on anything I said, being a remote worker at this point, especially with a little one at home.
Yeah, no, I definitely try to follow a routine. I try to put things on my calendar as well. So I have times set up for them, utilize the breaks, kind of like you said, so.
Yeah, because Casey's particularly challenged with the little one at home, trying to juggle that, and so be a full-time contributor to Sundog and be a full-time mom too. God, kudos to some of you out there and what you have to juggle. It's really, really impressive. All right, so productivity pieces. I mentioned setting up the workspace like you have at home. Definitely. So if you have multiple monitors at work, try and get multiple monitors at home, especially for those of us that spend most of our time in front of a computer. Also, expect some things to take longer. You might have a connection back to the office and you're running QuickBooks over that connection, or you're doing some graphic design, or you're updating spreadsheets. It can take a while for certain things to happen. What our staff does is they plan accordingly. So if they know they're going to open up an application that is going to take them a little bit of time over here, they might use that opportunity then to go ahead and check their email and make sure everything's good. It's just a neat way that over time you'll start figuring out, okay, this takes me long, like to attend this meeting, to get this application up and make the connectivity. I'm going to go ahead and get to that meeting 5 minutes early in order to make sure everything's ready to go and I'm fully functional. So just being cognizant of the timing of remote applications and what it's going to take to get them going is very important. And then management, I recommend lots of feedback. I talked about the check-ins, definitely keep doing those. And it's a beautiful opportunity for you to let them know how they're doing. In our case, we had one engineer as he transferred to transition to the home environment, was struggling in other various ways because we're an organization that has 8 players. We realized that the productivity was declining because his utilization was being lowered, and that was a perfect coaching moment to be able to talk to him about, hey, this is what we're seeing. And it was great because this individual was like, man, that's awesome. I didn't realize it had gotten not that bad, but I didn't realize I was drifting that much. That heads up got him to focus, got him to figure out a couple tips and tricks on his end so he could increase his productivity, and he's right back to where he needs to be. So it's just another beautiful way of just constantly communicating, holding people accountable, even though they're working from home, and people are going to figure it out. They're challenged like Casey is right now, but she's still a high-performing member of the team. It just takes them a little bit to get their stride, but they're going to get it, especially if you give them a little help and some coaching along the way. So those are like tips and tricks of the individual trying to figure out how to be as productive. And I did just want to cover some of the technology associated with it too that we have found that's been very helpful. When we look at the types of devices that everyone has, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but many people have smartphones these days or a tablet. And what a lot of people don't realize though is they use their smartphone for email, calling, texting, the weather app, maybe a game, Candy Crush, whatever it might be on their smartphone. But actually, there's a lot of office productivity tools on there that many people aren't even aware of yet. And especially users of Microsoft 365, Microsoft years ago decided they were going to be a platform independent organization. And what that means is all their applications that they design them to run on everything that's out there. So if you have an Android, if you have an iPhone, whatever device that you might have, Microsoft, all their products will work on those devices. So your smartphone could, like, here's a perfect example. I could be on the road and somewhere where I'm waiting for something, whatever it is, insert whatever scenario. Could be at the car wash, laundromat, getting my hair cut, whatever it might be. And if I'm having a particular busy day, I'm not an idle person, and I'll go ahead and open up my phone, and I'll open up my email and Outlook on my phone. And my office manager might have sent me a spreadsheet that she needed me to take a look at and make a couple updates. I can actually, in Outlook, see that attachment, open up that attachment in Microsoft Excel on my smartphone, modify a couple cells or a formula, save it back to SharePoint, and reply to her and say, good to go, took care of it. And I can do all that from my smartphone. So if you are on Microsoft 365 in your organization, you already have access to a wide variety of tools that are available on your smartphone as well as your computer at work. So don't forget about how productive you can be just by having that individual smartphone. But obviously, you're not going to sit at home for 8 hours a day on your little screen with a touch screen trying to be productive. And that's where, in order to really do that, you have to have a laptop or a desktop at home. So laptops, I just wanted to give everyone a couple quick tips on if you can get 8 gigs of memory, solid state hard drive, that's what SSD is, and that's probably the most important piece there. Get a monitor at least 13.1 inches in size, maybe bigger. Touchscreen monitors, huge. You may not think it, but once you have a touchscreen, boy, you're engaged with it all the time. It's just an extension of your mouse, essentially. And then I would definitely recommend to have Windows 10 Professional installed on that. The reason I call out Windows 10 Professional is Microsoft 365, the way it's designed, Microsoft designed Windows 10 to integrate into Microsoft 365. So the interaction between the operating system, Microsoft Windows 10, and Microsoft 365 is phenomenal. And plus, if you're running Windows 7, that expired January 14th of this year, you definitely need to upgrade. If your IT provider or your IT guys have told you about that, go ask them now, or feel free to call us here at Sundog. We can explain a little bit more about that. And then all laptops these days, and I'm sure there's exceptions out there, but all laptops these days have a monitor have a camera and speakers and a microphone built in. So if you go out and get a laptop and you open it up, you should be able to install Zoom or Teams, Microsoft Teams, and be fully video capable right out of the box. But if you have a desktop, don't forget employees with desktops at home that might be utilizing them to access the office and access tools remotely. They're going to need a webcam. Webcams just sit on top of your monitor. They have a microphone built in, a camera built in, and then they're going to need some speakers. And let's not skimp on that. A really great webcam from, I always recommend Logitech. That's Logitech, Logitech. Logitech webcams, you can get a nice one for under $100. So this isn't a break the bank kind of thing. And then speakers, spend, $25, $50 on a decent set of speakers so they have good, clear quality when they're actually having conversations is important. And then headsets, like you can hear potentially right now as I'm talking, there might be a little bit of like I'm kind of in a silo because this room that I'm in is kind of big. Can cause some echo sometimes, but if you have a headset with a microphone right there, the person on the other end gets crystal clear communication, which is great. But our staff and our clients have talked a lot about having the headphones on allows you to block out the noises of the street like I have right now going by, which can be a distraction, or the dog barking when the UPS guy comes to deliver that particular package. So I definitely recommend getting some sort of headphones. And Craig was talking about this on our last webinar. Don't skimp on these either. So if you can, spend $40, spend $50 and get yourself a really nice headset that you have. And as much as we all love cordless these days, you can't beat corded. Corded means as soon as you pick it up, it's going to work. It's going to be a clear connection. And you don't have to charge it. And what we find a lot is people with wireless headsets forget overnight to charge it. And then when their day starts, and we're talking about productivity, right? When their day starts, they can't operate right out of the gate because the headset isn't charged. So from a technology perspective, I would definitely recommend those.
Yeah, and the corded headsets, can you hear me now?
Yep.
That is a perfect example of why you couldn't hear me. I forgot to charge my cordless headset this morning, and so it was on the charger, and it had kicked on and it had taken over my audio. But that's a perfect example of even somebody who does this day in and day out. I forgot to charge my headset last night, so here I am.
Gotta love it. So connectivity to company resources. I'm just going to cover these kind of briefly. I want to make sure that you're all aware of them. At this point, your organization should have educated you on all the tools that are available for you to be able to work remotely. But I wanted to let you know of some top used ones that are very effective out there, that if you can't take advantage of them right now, you might be able to take advantage of them shortly here. So a VPN, it stands for Virtual Private Network. It's software that you would run on your computer at home, and it forms a secret tunnel through the internet back to the office network. And that's where you can get access to the server and open up that Word document, or you could print to a printer at work, or you could run QuickBooks. That's usually really slow, but you could run QuickBooks on your computer at home, even though the data file is stored at the office. So VPNs are pretty popular. We've deployed, I don't even know how many out there during this COVID-19 crisis, and we've upped the counts of many of our clients in order for them to have that. But then some of our clients also have RDP, remote desktop services. It's a type of server that's in the office. It allows you from any computer in the world to be able to log into the office and have a virtual desktop presented to you. And you can run all your applications, you can print, you can do all those things. But in the push to go to work from home, a lot of people got left behind because they didn't have VPNs or remote desktop services, that kind of infrastructure already in place. We were extremely excited, and well, our clients loved it, where we have a tool that all of our engineers have access to that allows them to remote control every computer across our entire client network. And what we did years ago is we figured out a way to open that up to our clients. So every one of our clients, even before the COVID-19 crisis, they had the ability to say, hey, can you have this user remote control their computer at work? And we set up all those accounts. So when the big shift happened where everyone went home, we were able just to add a ton of accounts for people. So when they're at home, they control their work computer. And what I mean by that is they went home, they already had a desktop at home. We would give them a login to a portal. They'd go in, they'd log in, they'd see their computer at work, they'd click on it. And if you walked into their office and sat down at their desk, you would see their mouse move and you would see applications come up and you could hear the printer kick on. They were able to do this just remotely from home, which made it really, really easy. It's a program we call Sundog Remote. But your IT provider should be able to just provide something like that for your remote workers. So if you have some gaps out there with some people, I really recommend some remote control utilities out there. And of course, super secure, everything's logged, everything's tracked, so you'll know who's using it and how they're using it. But that is a great, great utility. And then the last two things I just wanted to cover really quick are Zoom and Microsoft Teams. So we are using Zoom right now. This is in webinar format, but Zoom, in fact, if I go back a few, or actually it might have been Teams, the picture. Zoom and Teams can also give you a look like this where you can see everybody and be able to interact with them, which is a ton of fun from that perspective. But Zoom is, the reason an organization may use Zoom, even if they had Teams, Zoom is a platform that makes it super easy to have a meeting with people outside your organization and to give them little technical difficulties to be able to connect, share video, share files, share audio, and collaborate with each other. To that effect, I mentioned that I have the workout that I do every morning virtually. So there's a bunch of people that attend the virtual gym, the instructor's up there, and everyone's able to connect, no problem, via Zoom. One of my uncles had a birthday this last weekend, and a bunch of the family members got on and were able to interact with each other via Zoom. And it made it really easy, because if you can imagine grandma and grandpa trying to figure out how on their smartphone to connect to a Zoom meeting, it's got to be easy. But one of the problems that you have out there is, I just got distracted, sorry, I didn't have my headset on. One of the problems you have out there with Zoom right now is they're in the news a lot from a security standpoint. And the reason they are is Zoom, by making something so easy, it also opens up a lot of security holes for people to be able to take advantage of that. And they've been talked about a lot lately. So ultimately, I'm going to get to that question. So ultimately, what it comes down to is Zoom is great if it's non-confidential information that you're putting out there, and you're just trying to bring people from outside your organization to be able to collaborate. Highly recommend Zoom. Zoom, but per user, just for me to do it, is like $15. So it's really easy, and I can host a meeting with a bunch of people. If you pay for the $15, I think I can do up to 100 people in a meeting. So very cost effective, very easy. And if you do the webinar feature, it's not that much more as well. So that's Zoom. Zoom, super easy, getting people together outside your organization. Fantastic program. Just don't have any confidential information at this point on there. But Microsoft Teams for your organization is absolutely phenomenal. And I just saw a question up here. It says, what type of cost budget for businesses with less than, I assume, 25 employees is what you were meaning. So Zoom, I mentioned, is $15 per user, but if it's just one person hosting the meetings, that's all it is for you. Microsoft Teams, which I'm going to talk about here, is $12.50 per user. But you get so much value out of that $12.50 that I'm not going to be able to communicate well in this without going another hour. But let me just tell you about Teams. So Microsoft Teams gives you an environment, and in fact, I got a really cool PDF I want to share with you all. Let me stop this presentation. Let me bring this down here. And we can email this out to everyone as well, but this is a great way to get a lot of tips and tricks within the Microsoft Teams environment in a nice little PDF. But ultimately, what Teams allows you to do, and there's a lot going on, but if you run Microsoft Teams, you're going to look at this and go, oh, wow, that's really cool. I didn't realize I could do that there. Microsoft Teams allows you to chat. So everyone in your organization, like all of our clients that are on Office 365, have Microsoft Teams in one state or another, depending on the organization. But we've got quite a few organizations that run themselves on Teams. So what that means is everyone on the organization is there. So you can see your entire office. You can start a chat, just typing back and forth with someone in a Microsoft Team environment, privately, one-on-one, or you can bring multiple people into that chat, which is really cool. Especially if you're kind of collaborating around a particular project. It's a neat way to be able to just communicate with each other and keep that information there. But you can also take that one-on-one chat or that multiple group chat, and you can hit one button and instantly it becomes a video meeting where everyone pops on and you continue the conversation that got more complicated, and it's easier to do via voice than sitting there typing back and forth with each other. So Microsoft Teams allows that kind of collaboration really easy, and it keeps all the history of all the conversations, all the chats. You can record the video meetings that you have all in one place, and you can do it by department. So accounting can have a team channel, service can have a team channel, HR can have a team channel. But what's also really wonderful about it is years ago when Sundog adopted the Microsoft Team environment, we migrated all of our files into Microsoft Teams as well. So now the accounting team that logs in sees accounting, and they see the whole Sundog organization and all the people, but in their world, they can see each other, they can talk to each other, but they also have access to all their spreadsheets, PDFs, Word documents, everything in Teams. So what that means is all of our data at this point is hosted in the cloud. So we are a serverless organization. So because of that, when it came time to shelter in place, all what people had to do was go home, log into portal.microsoft.com, put in their username and password, and they had access to Teams to be able to chat, video chat, and be able to share files and coordinate files, all from any computer, anywhere in the world. So Microsoft Teams, if you are an organization on Microsoft 365, you have Teams, and you really need to be taking advantage of that because you can do everything that we talked about in today's webinar, but also all those files, all that data that you needed would be accessible right from your computer, instantly at home, or as you hop around from place to place on any computer that you're sitting in front of. And this guide breaks it down from the chat section here, how to create new channels, how to start a conversation, start an impromptu meeting, right? How to make video calls. You can add emojis and memes and all those other things in order to make that dialogue even more fun for people. Again, how to work with files. So how can you add a file? How can you collaborate? In fact, you can do it where two people can be working on a spreadsheet together or a PowerPoint presentation together, which is super cool. That kind of collaboration you didn't even have at the office when everyone was in there and you're working on the server. Only one person could have the file open at a time. This allows you to do all that. But also, if you see here, add a tab in the channel, the pace of innovation with Microsoft and Microsoft Teams right now is absolutely incredible. And now that we've all had experience with a pandemic, Microsoft is doubling down on the productivity enhancements and the tools that they're going to have within Microsoft Teams that's going to make us all more effective when we're all back in the office under the same roof, working like we used to, but then instantly be able to go home or waiting in line at the grocery store or getting your hair cut or whatever it might be. It's going to allow you to instantly be able to have access to everything that you have while you're at the office, which is just super cool. And that, in a nutshell, is Microsoft Teams, and that, in a nutshell, is strategies for being effective working remote. I know got another question here. What application will work best for sole proprietor business to communicate with clients? Zoom. In a nutshell, after this webinar, just go to zoom.com. You'll see the different pricing models and how to sign up. Like I said, it's like $15 a month. Just spend the $15 a month. I am going to, in fact, if you go to sundogit.com, that's sundogit.com. Next week, we're going to have more Zoom videos up there, tips and tricks on how to use it. There's already a bunch of Teams ones that are available. But also on zoom.com, they have a wealth of training videos there that'll get you up and running and get you started on how to have a meeting. Interacting with clients, you'll love it. It's super easy for them to be able to, they just receive a link like you did today. They click on it. If they need to install Zoom, it'll automatically install it and it'll plop them right into the meeting. So definitely, Zoom is probably the right way to go if you're a sole proprietor. Greg.
If I can say one thing,
yeah.
Please make sure your Zoom is up to date.
Mm-hmm.
They have been releasing security patches, multiple patches a day. So please make sure you keep your Zoom up to date.
Yep, for sure. And if you Google Zoom security, you're going to see exactly why that is important, especially if you put a link out there on your Facebook page or something, inviting a bunch of people to come and collaborate. You might get some unattended guests that will attend that meeting as well. So Craig is absolutely right. Keep it updated. But the nice thing with Zoom is every time you close out of a Zoom meeting, if there is an update, it's going to prompt you right then to go ahead and update it, which is great. I don't know if there's any other questions. It doesn't look like it. It looks like we got most of them answered, which is cool. Caitlin, I don't know if there's anything else you want to cover or.
I don't think so. I've been fielding some questions on my phone, so but you've covered them as we've gone through. So I think the only question that came through on my people were texting me was just a little more clarification. Is Microsoft Teams part of Microsoft 365, or is it like you have to pay in addition to?
Part of Microsoft 365. There's always an exception out there, but everyone's got Teams. You almost have to work hard at having a plan that doesn't have it. And that is one of the things that is too bad, because Microsoft Teams is an incredibly powerful, versatile tool that has been available to everyone on Microsoft 365. Yet too many IT guys and IT firms haven't communicated that. I think in part because it's just more you have to support, more you have to do, but we've always been in the mentality, if there's a tool out there that's gonna make people more productive, then let's double down and make sure they're aware of it. So chances are, if you have Microsoft 365, you've had Teams and you've been paying for it all along. So I highly encourage you to adopt it. All right.
Interesting. Okay. I don't think there's any other questions. So we so appreciate your time and your expertise. I know people are excited. So we're facing new challenges, but really new opportunities as well. So thank you for leading us through this. We will send out the link to everyone. Casey, I'll work with you on that. And I think that's it. So everybody have a great Easter. Thank you so much, Cohen.
Fantastic. Thanks again. Take care, everyone.